What's up, guys? Got another quick story for you guys. And, in the art world, sometimes you make lots of friends, and other times you just make lots of enemies. How you guys doing? Got you guys a story today, and just gonna take a second to reflect, look back, flashback, whatever it is you want to call it, on my days as being a flea market airbrusher. Well, here's a story that you should hear. So, back in like the year 2003, 2004, something like that, I started doing airbrushing at the Mile High Flea Market. It's in Denver, Colorado. It's a huge market. It's big. If you're ever in the area, I recommend you go and you check it out. One of the coolest places you could go around Denver. It's a big market. They charge you to get in, and it's huge. Now they have an event center and all kinds of stuff. Back then, the event center didn't exist, so it was even bigger. There was a lot of selling spaces, like a lot, right? I was really young, really young. And I started off with just a table, just one little table, and a couple of the Createch starter sets, and just one airbrush. I had a lot of trouble when I first started, but luckily it all worked out, and I started doing really good. And when I started there was already one other airbrusher at the time. His name is Chris. I'm not sure if he's still around. I haven't been to the Mile High Market in a while, but the last time I was there, his shop was still there. So anyway, so it was just me and Chris at the time, and Chris had like a certain row. The rows are labeled by alphabets, so there's like A, B, C, D. So he had a space in like the C and D kind of area. That's where he liked to like kind of set up. So I made sure to stay like at least on the HG, like just a little bit farther away, not in the same row or anything like that. And that way we could all kind of have our own little space, at least me and him at the time. And it was all going good. I did that for like 2 years. We were making pretty good money. We were airbrushing about 30 to 40 shirts a day. And we would do, Saturday, Sunday. And so back then they would also do Wednesdays. And depending on what I had going on during the week, sometimes I would go on Wednesdays as well, because even just 10, 15 shirts that I would sell on Wednesday was pretty good. And back then they would charge, I think, $15. It was for the space on Wednesdays. So it was really inexpensive to go set up, and you'd make your money back as long as you were prepared and stuff. But yeah, somewhere along the line, like 2006, 2007, something like that, it turned out to be quite a battle. So it was not only me and Chris anymore, right? By then I had already built up my stand. I had a really nice stand with big old displays, and I had different setups for different days and stuff like that. And it was all going great until we started getting a lot of competition in. So at one point there was 6 of us airbrushing at the Mile High Flea Market. I counted on one weekend there was 6, and it was like that every weekend for like 7 or 8 weekends in a row. 6 of us airbrushing shirts out there, or trying to airbrush shirts. And I don't remember everybody's names. I know there was another Mike from Trinidad, and then there was Randall, which I've talked about before to you guys, and he was like from Florida or something. So we had lots and lots of competition, and it spiraled out of control to the point where it was like some of them just stopped coming, because it was wild, right? So Chris always kind of had his regulars. Obviously, he's been there the longest. He had people just come to him because they knew him and they've been coming to him for a long time. Then I had, by that time, people that were coming to me from the first day I set up, and then they would come, every other month or something like that and get something made. And so I had my regulars, Chris had his regulars, and then it was like battling for the impulse buyers, for the people that are there like on vacation, whatever it is, the first time to the flea market or whatever it is, just people you don't see all the time there. Yeah, at that time, I remember it got so out of control. People were like disconnecting my electrical line, right? So they have these electrical boxes, and you're lucky sometimes you get the electrical boxes right next to your space, so you don't have to run a really huge extension cord or anything like that. But sometimes it would be so far away, right? There's no way you could keep an eye on it, and they'd get full, right? Like everybody takes one electrical plug, so I'd always show up early to make sure I claimed one and plug myself in. Well, it got so out of control that people were like unplugging, the plugs, and then, obviously one of the other vendors would see, hey, you're unplugged. They would come and plug their stuff in. You're out of electricity for the day. It was wild. It got so out of control. Like there was smack talk going back and forth and this and that. But eventually we did prevail. Me and Chris did prevail, and we stuck it out to the end. And we watched all those guys come and go. And even with everything they tried and everything they did, it just never worked out for them. They always try to like undercut us on prices. When people would ask, like, oh, I want this made. Oh yeah, make sure you get it done here, because over there that guy's gonna screw it up. And I never took it upon myself to say anything bad about anybody. I just pretended like I didn't know other people exist. Oh, there's another guy doing it over there. Oh yeah, I don't know. I guess there is. Yeah, it's fine. We all have our own styles. That's what I would say. Like, yeah, if you like his design, go get it. But I have these right here. And then there was the price too. Like they tried to undercut pricing. I think at one point Randall was doing shirts for $8, including the shirt with your name on it. $8. And it was wild. It was wild. But yeah, all in all, all you gotta do is stay true to yourself. Stay true to what you're doing. Treat your customers with respect. Don't look at them like a dollar bill sign, which is what a lot of them guys would do. I started airbrushing out there just for my love of the art and because I really like airbrushing, and just same way I run the channel now. I just like to airbrush. I like to see you guys progress. I like to see more airbrush artists. But I noticed, some of those guys were they would see us, by us, I mean me and Chris, and how many shirts we'd paint, 30, 40 shirts. And I know that they were doing the math in their head, like, oh, 30 shirts at, $30 or $40 a piece, it could add up to a good chunk of change. But it's a lot of work. Like, a lot of people don't realize, like, you got to prep, you got to have all the paint in advance, you got to come in stocked with shirts, you got to show up at 6 in the morning to set up your stand, you got to stay till the end of the day when you're tired, that blacktop or whatever is like 120 degrees, just, coming up off the ground. People are walking around with sodas. You can't leave your spot, if you didn't bring in enough ice for the day or something like that, like going to the restroom, anything like that. It's a struggle. Like when you're there to paint, you're there to paint. And the minute you start kind of just slacking off or doing anything, the customers take notice and they start feeling like, this guy doesn't really do it, or he doesn't really like to do it or whatever. And yeah, they do notice. And thankfully for us, that was never the case for me or Chris. Chris, at the time, he had his wife that helped him out, so that he was a little bit, like, they were able to, like, at least take turns. At the time, I was single. And yeah, it was a mission for me for staying alive during those times, because some of those guys tried some really shady tactics. And yeah, but if you're going to be out there, getting started and you're thinking about doing the markets and stuff, the best advice I can give you is be friendly, not only to the customers, but to any other airbrush artists out there. Try to keep your space, your distance, and just stay true to yourself. Do what you want to do, the designs you like, do it in the way you like, and keep your prices at what you like, because at the end of the day, somebody shows up you know, if they don't have the heart for it, if they're not really in it 100%, it's gonna show. Their cracks are gonna show, and you know, they won't last. So, yeah, I had a lot of fun painting at that market. You know, I still, not regularly, but you know, once a year, maybe twice a year, I still go and set up, and it's a fun way to just get out. And I don't do it like I used to, because back then I really took it serious. It was like, you know, one of my main sources of income at the time. And yeah, I took it super serious. Now it's more relaxed. I go out there, just have fun, grab myself a turkey leg while I'm painting and stuff like that, and chit chat with customers, and just try to make the most out of it. But yeah, that's my story of the cutthroat business that is airbrushing at the flea market. Hope you guys like that story. We'll see you guys in the next one. Later.